wants to start with a recap? Does Dave have one?
Dave doesn't have a beard. I've only seen
Oh my
Dave's
goodness.
face.
Babyface
What
Dave
happened
again.
That's all right. Kelly didn't notice.
For how long?
Only for kind of like, you know, maybe 10 seconds or so.
Kelly was just like, there's something wrong with But that's when we had nothing. It was like super shiny.
Yeah. I went from this to just my normal goatee. Charlie didn't realise for hours.
Wasn't days at least.
No.
Well, you have cut your hair before, and it was like I did that 2 days ago. I was like, oh.
It's like
If I didn't notice somebody's haircuts, I don't know what
To
order
me, that
everybody
looks
else.
to me that looks like you're pointing at the invisible sun deck.
Okay.
it's like because Dave's he's had a phone call, so I don't know who from, but it's like it took him a while because every time he looked in the mirror, he's like, oh shit, that's not me. But I have the same when I do my hair. It's like I remember it being blonde. Oh no, it's not blonde now. It's bright pink or whatever. Yeah, I really need to sort mine out because these are ridiculous. I've not dyed my hair since end of February.
Ditto. But I just keep braiding new colours into it. I'm like, oh, I'll be purple this fortnight. And next one, and I'll be blue. And I'm going to put a rainbow in it next, I think.
Oh, nice.
More braids.
You did not tell me of this plan.
Did I not?
No.
Sure I did. I'm
No.
sure I did.
No.
All right then. It's
Well,
all,
now you know.
it's all if I've got the thick enough wool because I use it's kind of like 8-gauge wool to do it. And I know I've got rainbow colours, but I think they're quite small ones, so see how I can go.
Yep.
The person to recap is not recapping.
No.
Let's have a weird, random try to think about things. So we were in.
Oh, he's on his way back.
We went to the chemist.
What?
Buck dial.
Oh, Mark Buckdale. Carpet Buck dialed him. So.
Interesting how butt dial and booty call are two very, very different things.
Mark.
Watch as I blend the two.
It's Mark. It's interchangeable.
Oh. Right. Recap. Sorry. Stowbold was playing a game of Mornington Crescent or a Mornington Crescent style game with 64. We went looking through the filing to try and find Hawk's file, and it was indecipherably filed. But we managed to find her file at location 191919. The file said that she consented to memory suppression, and it referred to something called Appendix B. All mention of Hawks' sister is redacted, and 64 suggests that we need to go into Hawks' memory. We found an old map with the old location of Hawks' apothecary in it, and we kind of managed to convince 64 to let Hawk copy the file dot matrix style. We travel to where the apothecary is, and as we're going along, Hawk's memories are kind of triggered, and she remembers the place and the areas around it. It's called Raise the Chameleon, and it's still open for business.
I was going to look in the anagram of that. Yeah.
I looked at anagrams and I couldn't find one, but that might be because I can't spell raise or chameleon. Dyslexia is great fun.
Sometimes it's really useful. But
we were asked about the chap with the fire. And then, we were told that the previous owner was the chap with the fire, and then prior to that, it was two young ladies, which would have been Hawk and Josephine. We have a look for the lease and think that possibly we need to go and see a lawyer at which point the game ended.
Yes. I remember these
And we're now
things.
session 46.
Mm. The point that we ended it on was the fact that you've got like journals for the running of the store, which you got from the basement.
Yes.
And the first journal was, and the first entry in the first journal was countersigned by Adrienne Hawke and Reggie Chameleon Hawke.
Oh yes. It was both a person and we'd named the
Place after it.
place after him. Them.
Yes.
Wonderful. So the first card of the evening is the tyrannical clock. Not exactly sure what that means. I know I'm fairly certain we've had it before.
Can you
Is it
zoom
wrong
in a bit more?
Is it wrong that my brain just immediately went, oh, it's a Tyrannosaurus Rex with a Flavor Flav style big clock around its neck? Tyrannosaurus clock.
I'm sorry, did you just say Tyrannosaurus cock?
Tyrannosaurus clock.
Okay.
Clock.
Just
No, in Dragon Age yesterday we had to roll for dick size.
You had to roll for
I
dick
didn't,
size.
but my friend did.
there is actually a TTRPG called Fatal, Fantasy Adventures in Tabletop something, and it's got tables for length and girth and curve of such things.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had to roll a d12 and it maxed out.
A tabletop role-playing game with a table for junk.
Yeah. That's it. Fantasy Adventures. Fantasy Adventures for Tabletop Adult Lechery. That's what it's. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I need to tell Ellie about that because that girl's the biggest lecture.
Your Dragon Age game is nothing but smut.
Yeah, that's Ellie's fault.
You.
My character does not instigate the smart. Ellie's does. She was an ex-sex slave from Tormenta, so this is why.
Cool. This is the House of Notions, meanings of oppression, time, countdown, schedules, and repetition. We live and die, quite literally, by time. It rules our actions, for we have no actions without it. We struggle to accomplish what we must by a certain time, or we face grim consequences. We eat, sleep, and even breathe, measured by the movements of the clock. It is our master, and it is our enemy.
Oh, now I'm depressed.
Yeah.
What's the subscript?
And the alt text is: by the ticking of the clock, by the breaking of your bones, by the shrieking of the flock, the tyrant revels in the moans. Divination: the pressures of time affect one's goals. Not only must one succeed, it must be done by a certain cut-off time. The tyrannical clock suggests some extraneous oppressive force that compels us with the threat of pain or even death. The compulsion is to keep moving and to do so on a schedule. It might involve repetition or simply a deadline, depending on the circumstances. So you're in Razor Chameleon, and
I thought we just left.
Well, you're in the basement, and we kind of left it.
Oh yeah.
In the basement. I have a sneaking suspicion that the first urge is going to be to go and get Hawk a very stiff drink.
Yes. We were.
Because I remember being in the basement, but
The basement is kind of a.
I'll clone of my workspace, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that was it. There was nothing.
There was nothing amazing, but there was all these journals of ledgers of what you'd sold and what
Yeah.
you'd bought and all that jazz. But the first one had this person that nobody
Signature.
can remember, and that the shop is named after.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can't remember if we tried to see if anything else would. No, because if it's a copy of my actual store, then that didn't bring up memories. Then this place ain't gonna. So,
while we're down there, is it worth just looking around seeing if there's anything else with that name on it?
yes, we could.
Yeah. Okay. You spend sort of like half an hour, and all of the kind of days takings. They're just initialed, where it's kind of checked off against things, and the initials are all either AH or IYCH.
So none of them are JH?
No.
So she never worked in the shop?
You know of.
Or maybe she did, but she wasn't like manager. Because she's your little sister, isn't she?
Yeah. Or it was a, what do you call it?
Pseudonym.
Yeah, that's it.
Pseudonym de plume.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or a nom de guerre, perhaps.
Gareth War, isn't it?
Yeah. Like the Red Baron is a nom de guerre. It's just like a nickname that you take.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be signing official documents with a nickname, would you?
Depends. C, the head of MI5. C is the code letter. It was the nickname of the first head of MI5, and he signed everything with C.
Huh.
Which is why M is called N in the James Bond films.
Bring back Judi Dench.
Judi Hench. I have no idea why I did that.
But you did.
It just popped in there. Oh no, Ralph Fiennes is pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So what are you doing?
I look expectantly at Hawk because this is kind of this is your rodeo, cowgirl.
This is my rodeo. Yeah, I there's nothing completely standing out to me that's like, ooh, it's still all just a great big. I guess.
Well, I wrote down lawyer specifically at the end of last week because I think we were thinking about maybe trying to find somebody to go over these.
Was there a lawyer for
these ledgers and leases and stuff?
Ollivander did give you the name and address of the lawyer's
letting agency
office.
who had allowed them to let this.
Yeah.
Because that's what we were saying, wasn't it? That when you'd shut up properly. You didn't just walk away. You'd put everything in holding. You'd allow the letting agency to let out the property and the business afterwards. So you wanted to go back to that lawyer who'd facilitated that.
Yeah. Pretty much, because they might be able to give us insight into who or what.
Yeah.
Is Razy Chameleon. So.
The question is, when we go there, is it going to be IP Freely, attorney at law?
Or
Lionel Hutz.
Ching ching.
Or Billy Bob Birdman?
it could be Billy Bob Birdman.
Harvey Birdman.
Or Harvey Birdman. Or it could be.
You're just trying to think of famous lawyers.
No.
You're trying to think of Devon from League of Legals.
No, I'm trying to think of Daredevil.
Matt Murdock.
Yeah. That'd be cool. But mainly the other one.
Foggy.
Because he's cool. Yeah. Anyway. Yes. So I think a stiff drink, and tomorrow we go back to the Rose, gather our thoughts and what we've found. We'll take the ledgers and stuff with us. And try to figure out where this attorney is to see if we can make an appointment with them.
Okay.
Because Well, no, because this was like we'd come in the early morning to them, hadn't we?
It was relatively early, yeah.
Yeah. So I think we'll go and have lunch somewhere
Go
and
to
just
the
kind of.
Winchester, have a pint of wine.
Yeah. Okay. Very nice lunch.
Oh, a liquid lunch for you then.
Of course, the saccharine equivalent of a stiff drink is actually a drink that you need like a spoon, like double thick Warnick's Advocar.
I can't think of anything worse.
It's like it's alcoholic custard.
It is.
Custard's good, but I think I have bad memories of Advocar in my friend's house when I was younger.
You obviously didn't have enough Advocar then.
Vodka jellies.
Vodka jellies.
Yeah, jello shots. Yes.
I tried to make them for Hannah. No, somebody was vegan, so I had to make vegan jelly, but alcoholic vegan jelly, and of course I got the
Oh, you
percentages
did it for
all
your
wrong.
birthday. You did it for
Yeah, Chloe, vegetarian.
Was the boss birthday?
Yeah, but Hannah just really liked them because everybody else hated them, and they were like you had to slice off bits of jelly. It was as she was chewing it. You shouldn't have to chew jelly. Because I tried to make mojito ones, hadn't I? And it had little chunks of mint leaf in it as well. And she's like,
Yes.
Mojito. Boil the mash and stick them in the stew.
Yeah. So I think we go find somewhere. Do I remember there being anywhere around that had a good lunch?
Probably yes.
We'll go there then.
Is the place called Probably Yes?
Probably
It's
yes.
called
I don't know.
called the Winchester.
Yeah. I would go.
There's a gun over the bar.
Yep. And it's, in the same way that Penn and Teller's was quite a dingy pub, this is the same sort of thing.
I'm drawn to this kind of shithole. Not a shithole.
Oh, well, I wonder though, that's the thing, you probably would have gone for a drink there after work.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody recognise you? Let's have a go and have a chat.
Everybody knows your name.
And as you kind of walk in, the barman, who looks, he's just got that familiar vague face, kind of nods at you, so as usual, and then starts mixing a drink.
I'll go, yes.
And for your friends?
What do you want?
3 fingers if you find a sipping whiskey.
I don't know. Oh, do the whole lead over the bar. What you got? What you got? What you got? And then
have your finest ale.
Fireball.
yeah, have a fireball.
Yeah.
With the your finest ale with a fireball like
Chaser.
The he's got like a fridge.
Sarsaparilla.
Sarsaparilla.
That's revolting.
He's got
Yes.
a fridge just behind it, but the glass in the front of the fridge is all frosted, so you can't read it. You can't read them anyway, so you might as well make it.
Sarsaparilla.
Sarsaparilla. Yeah, I like sarsaparilla. What's wrong with sarsaparilla? You make that face about peas and sweet corn.
Sweet corn's amazing. I mean, peas are okay, but I mean, sweet corn, come on.
on a cob. Covered in butter.
No. Not my forte.
So he kind of he's like partway through mixing something for Hawk, and then he puts it into a blender of some sort, and then starts it going, and then he pulls down a whiskey bottle that's definitely seen better days, and he pours a shot pours 3 fingers for Stowbold, for Roland rather, and then he kind of he gets a long, was it a tall boy, the tall like cocktail glasses,
Tumbler.
a tall tumbler, and then he kind of puts a couple of rocks in it, and these are actual rocks, not ice cubes. Puts a couple of rocks in it.
Ray Johnson.
And then he pours a measure of the whiskey that he's still got in his hand, something that he had from one of the bottles that he got off one of the shelves for mixing Hawk's drink, and then he pulls out another one of like lighter fluid, and then the little metal can, and he lights it on fire. Then he gets the stuff out the blender, and he kind of does the whole flippy thing with the metal thing, and he kind of pours it all into the drink for Hawk, and then he kind of like gets a little like a cocktail stick, and he sticks it in the top, and then the cocktail stick it kind of opens up like one of those little cocktail umbrellas, but then it kind of keeps opening, and it turns into like a little butterfly that's sat at the end of this stick, kind of flapping and keeping it cool. And he says, "I'll put them on your tab," and he hands it over. And I said, and then he kind of looks up and he goes, "It's been a while."
Yeah. I don't remember how long, but definitely.
Well, tab's still open, I suppose.
Thank you.
How much is on her tab now?
Oh no, I paid that off before I left.
Did you though?
Maybe. Is there anything? Do I know anything?
And he kind of he reaches up, and then he kind of, you see him kind of flicking through the air, and then like little glowing runes are kind of scrolling past, like he's flicking for the right thing. And he gets to one, and then he taps it, and he goes, "Oh, 19 crystal."
I hand it across.
Yeah.
Settled.
19.
Yeah, I figured.
Are you back across the road, or is that the old chap still there?
The old chap's still, well, I guess he is running it. I wasn't aware he was after I had to take a leave of absence. So, yeah, it's a little odd being back in the area, but I've got to check some stuff out. And do you still do your really good Ploughman's lunch?
Always, always.
Excellent. I'll have enough of them to go around, and we'll go sit across there.
Fantastic. Ploughman sharing platter. Why is that not a thing?
It bloody well should be.
Should be.
I have been to a place that did a Ploughman's platter. It was either Bournemouth or Portsmouth when we were away for a course. It looked brilliant. Pate.
Because
cheese.
it's like a fajita sharing platter, isn't it? But just Ploughman's.
I remember the pub that I used to work for back home. They'd like have like a little picnic blanket thing that they'd wrap it all in, and you'd have to book them the day before, so they were all made up fresh that morning. But they were huge, and we had to make them up. But then they normally went on like canal cruises with people and stuff.
Wow.
Everything was made home, like apart from the cheese and the ham, but the bread was freshly made on like by the lady who owned the cafe, and their pickled onions and stuff were all like homemade.
I want a Ploughman's now.
Yeah. Speaking about food, this is the one last, well, hopefully the last one that I'll do for it. So poached eggs, right? Normally when you're poaching an egg, salt, vinegar, boiling water, crack the egg in, whatever. We normally have poached eggs, but with black olives as part of our huevos lunch. And then concurrently to that, you've got the existence of a dirty martini.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Dirty poached eggs.
Poached egg.
Yeah.
You had my interest. Now you have my attention.
I'll I'll message the group tomorrow morning. I think that's what my breakfast is going to be. Yeah. Anyway.
My porridge and berries, thanks.
Yeah. So he brings
From Jeremy earlier.
So after about sort of 10-15 minutes, he kind of brings over a big sort of platter.
It's got to be a wooden board. That's the law.
Yeah.
Or slate.
No, this is a wooden board, and it's like a tray, one of the big sort of tray table things. And he kind of folds the legs down off it, and he stands it on the table in the middle, so there's space underneath it. And then he kind of comes back over, and he's got like a little bowl of bread, sticks, and puts that to one side. And then he kind of takes the cover off the platter, and then arranged around the outside, you've got things like pate and sort of cheese and Scotch eggs and pickled onions and that sort of thing. But in the middle, there's like a hillock of salad, but the salad is actually growing, and there's like a tiny, like sort of 3-inch tall little guy ploughing this thing and kind of pulling up sort of fresh salad bits. And as he's kind of going past, he's got these little shavings of salad going off onto the other side.
That sounds cool. Yeah. Tuck in and just be like, yep, this is as good as I think I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else around in here that's like, it's a drink. The drink is good, and this is not what I would order now.
It's
Why I don't order this anywhere else, because I don't know what's in it.
it's probably like a frozen slushy strawberry daiquiri,
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
but it's good.
Possibly a little much for lunchtime, but yeah, what is time?
Sun's over the
Delusion.
yard somewhere.
Yeah.
So if he remembered you,
Might he remember your sister?
exactly.
That's why I'm having the drink, to have the conversation.
Okay.
Yeah, I think munch a little bit, and I'm going to go back up to the bar going, I know it's been a while, but...
Sorry. Because we have the Ploughmans and I have a flaming drink, I can just use my hand as a little raclette. Carry on.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm like, so a lot's happened since the last time I've been in here, and I've been into Shadow and back, but there are a few things that I don't really remember.
Mm-hmm.
One being, she was my sister, but I don't really remember her. Do you? She may not. You may not have known her as my sister, but definitely a younger female, looks slightly similar to me.
Now you mention it, yes. Didn't come in as often as you did.
Because
But
you was a lush.
but yes. I recall every so often. What was her name?
I remember Josephine.
That sounds familiar. I think I remember you. I can recall you introducing her to me.
Ask him about Rosie, a chameleon. If he ever came in the pub, they ever came.
Or I had another member of staff. I vaguely remember her called Raise Your Chameleon. That name ring a bell?
Not at all. Not at all. I always thought there was just the two of you.
I
That's
can't remember. That's the
it's a,
problem.
it's a funny thing.
Being in shadow messes your brain up. It really
Yeah, I hear this a lot from Bisley who've come back. I hear this a lot. It's one of those things that I didn't go myself. I stayed for what felt like a very long time. But on speaking to people who did go and come back, it seems like a lot of different people's experiences were very, very different. So a lot of people remembered more when they came back straight away. But for the most, apparently, such as yourself, Mistress Hawk, you appear to have lost quite a bit of what went before. Are you doing well now?
Oh, yeah, I have my companions back there. We've been, I guess,
on adventures.
Little family for a little while now, but yeah, it's just some circumstances happened, and the memory of my sister kind of popped up, and we've kind of ended up back here, and it's nice but scary because I don't. It's like I know it, but I don't. And I'm just trying to find out what happened, and if she's still with us. I don't know. I don't know why. Even if she went into shadow, I don't know. I remember closing up now after having been in there, but then discovered that I made loads of preparations in regards to us, myself leaving at least, and that's it. That's all I remember really.
Yeah.
Do you remember anything from back then? I don't know.
As I said, I can remember the days before the war, and I can remember the rebuilding, the devastation from after it. But actually, what happened? You no doubt, there was powerful magics cast across the whole event to seal it from whatever happened.
Well, I pay off the rest of the tab for this. We're settled, but we may be back.
I should keep the tab open for you.
And I go back and join the guys.
Yeah.
Swing and a miss.
Yeah, remembers someone, but doesn't really remember it. But
We got the name of the lawyer, haven't we?
Oh yeah,
we do.
Yeah.
Should
We
we
can go there
go visit them?
after we finished our lunch. I offer melty goodness to anybody. So
I too will make this poppet corn and shower them with melted goodness.
I call it now and jot it down. Our first true meeting together, Ploughman's for dinner.
yes.
Scotched Ploughman's.
Yes.
I'll make a Scotch eggs tomorrow.
What's your name? Ploughman's. Scotched Ploughman's. I saw a thing on Facebook. There was a restaurant where you got 10% off your bill if you ordered in the style of Sean Connery. I'd be so good at that. Yes, I would like your tastiest food, please. That was a bit more gold member.
What you doing?
Go see the lawyer.
Gonna go find the lawyer.
Game, the Alchemist. Yeah, the Marquee Quarter. Once again, I shuffle these cards so thoroughly, and once again we have the Alchemist.
We're meant to be people.
Yeah, change and transformation. This is the adept of. One day I will learn these things. Throwing stars. The adept of secrets.
Yeah, which goes with me.
Brilliant. So the Marquee Quarter is the real posh district. It's the area of town where the magniloquent moth was. That place that you walked past that one time.
That explains why I might have frequented that place a lot then. Was I well-to-do back then? Who knows?
Well, you're a local businesswoman and a pillar of the community.
And you use the lawyers in those areas, so yeah, maybe.
Wasn't there mention of a I've watched so much television and random stuff this week that I can't remember whether there was mention of a safety deposit box.
What, in game?
Yeah. Or am I just thinking something
No.
else?
No.
I think of
Yeah.
something else.
Oh well.
There still could be.
Let's do it.
When we talk to the lawyer, he might know something. Who knows? Ross knows.
And the building that you head to is it's kind of. Have you ever walked down Baker Street in London?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. You've got those. Is it Georgian buildings with the very tall but sort of fairly narrow but double doorways?
Mm-hmm.
It's all like that, but with very subtle brass plaques next to each door with the name of the company on it. And you get to the lawyer's company, or the lawyers in question. I didn't give it a name before. So it's Wap, Caplet and Spong.
Wap, Caplet and Strong, or Wap, Caplet and Strong.
Wap Caplet, one name.
Wap, Caplet.
Wap, WHAP.
Wap, Caplet and Sprong.
Spong.
Spong. And they're the lawyers.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go see these blood-sucking lawyers.
And no, I didn't want to do that. Flipping thing.
Charlie has Don't Make Me Get Me Flying Monkeys t-shirt. I've got one of them.
It was Ross's, and then I cut it about and made it into a vest for me.
Yeah.
And so there is a very prim and proper receptionist. So just as you walk in, then you've got the nice doors, and then you've got the oak kind of glazed secondary inner doors. Then it opens up into a sort of a reception area, and there are two very prim and proper receptionists. And if you were to take a stereotypical middle-aged woman receptionist,
And one be called prim proper.
One is called prim and the other one is called proper. But they're otherwise identical, with identical buns and identical.
And they've got the half moon spectacles.
Of course they do.
Sour-looking face.
Yeah.
Wazowski.
And one of them kind of looks over her glasses at the three of you coming in and sniffs quite audibly in Roland's direction.
To which Roland offers some snuff.
She was already peering over her glasses, so she peers over the glasses again. It's like double peerage.
Double period, like a lord.
Yeah. Good afternoon, madame, gentlemen. Might we be of assistance?
Yes, I am here to see either.
Which name did Ollivander give you?
Oh yeah, well, I can't
It was
remember.
well, no, it's just a business card of the lawyers.
I'm here to see either Mrs.
What Caplet?
Caplet or Sprong.
Spong.
Spong. I had some dealings with them in the past, and would like to discuss things with them.
Do you have an appointment?
Do you have a flag?
I don't, but my name is a Mistress Adrian Falk.
And she was still typing. She got one of those big kind of this, and at the same time, both of them just kind of go ding, and then kind of stop and look up at you. And one looks at the other, and the other one looks back, and then Prim kind of stops, and she sorts herself out. She sits back in the seat. And Proper stands up and crosses over and puts her hand on the other one's shoulder, and she says, "I'll sort this one out, sister. I'll just sort this one out. Please, would you care to come through? Would you take some tea whilst you're waiting?"
I'll take a coffee if you have it.
Oh, can you roll a level 6 resist to resist a scathing glare that you're...
Okay.
I smacked that up going, actually no, a round of coffees for everyone if that's okay.
Could you pass me die?
You get the glaring stare, but you know.
Yeah.
Level 6, you say?
Yeah.
I have 2 ranks in resist.
I'll be right back, but carry on.
And I've rolled a 4, so that makes 6. I'm okay.
Just okay, fantastic. You can almost feel the psychic burn.
The small hairs on the back of my neck prick up. And if looks could kill, I'm aware that I would be nothing but a greasy stain on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as Charlie has nipped off, put the kettle on. Ooh. Do you want for that?
Coffee!
If Proper won't get us coffee, I'm going to get us coffee.
So I sent the title of that Fatals game to my friend Ella. And she's like, or Ellie. I was like, she's going to go find that. Yeah. No, the Dragon Age game was fine for the first 2 sessions. And then it ended up through conversation with some of the NPCs that at Skyhold, which is a place that you end up in Inquisition, that they have an orgy club on the first Wednesday of every month.
Okay.
How the hell we ended up there, I don't know. And then
the first rule of orgy club is you don't talk about orgy club.
And then the second game, we went as far as the NPCs were going to this place to go pick somebody up to join the Inquisition. And Ellie's character went off on a lingerie purchasing spree, which ended up finding that there was like a secret box of stuff within the tent that this person was selling that was full of all like nude toys and stuff. Like, okay. And then this one, the last game was like normal, that was all fine. And this one, we ended up at the party of this like really rich lady in this town, and she ended up getting it on with this guy who she was trying to like get information from, and that's how the whole roll for dick thing came from. So it was just like, okay. So funny.
I'm going to take recording again. Cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Wanted to kill you.
Proper gives you a real bad glare when you ask for coffee. I suppose we may have some herbal teas.
I did request actually if coffee is available. That would be brilliant. Thank you very much.
She kind of leads you through into another little waiting room, and it's, if you imagine a tea room but without like all of the tables. Do you remember, Charlie, the B&B we stayed at when we went to Penzance with Thomas?
Yes.
And the way that it
Basically
was,
somebody's front room.
yeah,
Yeah, this place sounds like my
China dolls and things.
yeah.
And chandeliers with crystals that are meant to be rainbows but don't really work that well.
Can't be as bad as the B&B David I stayed in with knitted
No.
clowns.
This is what?
Knitted clowns in every room. Creepy.
There were dozens of them.
Loads of them. And it was Sensei that found our place.
No, it wasn't.
Georgina.
No,
Someone
we
did.
recommended it.
Could have been worse. There could have been like knitted clown moomins.
I could then.
Knitted juggalo moomins.
I'm sure I've told you this because it's one of my stories. My nan used to collect China dolls, and she had one that was life size, that was like this little boy, but he was standing in a corner like he'd been told off, like his head hung low, and he was standing, but he's like life size in the corner on this weighted plinth. But then you turn him around, he had no face. It was horrible.
Cool. So, you kind of sit in here for sort of about 5 minutes, and a little thought form waiter kind of comes in with a tray, and it's a pot of tea and china cups and a teapot and a kettle of water and a little kind of thing of milk and whatever.
So, a kettle?
Like a teapot.
Huh.
Yeah.
Thought you said teapot already. Right.
And it kind of sits it down on the table, and then it kind of bows back out again. And then about sort of 5-10 minutes after that, a gentleman kind of comes in. He's very tall, very thin, very distinguished looking. Mrs. Hawke.
I stand up and I'm like, yes, that's me.
This guy is basically, if you cross John Cleese at the very early days of Monty Python with Doug Jones.
Oh, okay. Does he kind of look like the waiter, the food critic dude out of Ratatouille?
No.
He's kind of got that.
No, he looks like the kind of slick professionals that Cleese always used to play in the early Python ones.
Yeah.
Like he's like the Ministry of Silly Walks guy if his legs were 11 feet long.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay.
And
I put my hand out to like shake it and like, yes, that's me.
So
but obviously as if I don't recognise him.
And from across the room, from an unnatural distance, his hand kind of goes like that.
Okay.
It's Slender Man.
And so he shakes your hand and he says, please, would you care to accompany me to my office?
May my companions join us?
If you so desire, yeah.
Yep, I'm following.
Which one is he? Did he introduce himself?
No, he didn't.
I'm Adrian Wapcaplet.
Adrian Wapcaplet.
So unfortunate.
And he's wearing, again, a very an impeccable suit. It's like Edwardian design, so it's got like the open sort of stiff collars, single-breasted suits, immaculately shined shoes. All four of them are absolutely perfect. And his arms and legs.
Four of them. Is he a centaur?
No, he's got a non-Euclidean number of legs.
Does he shop at Suit Yourself? Tailors. Or is it beyond?
Oh, Roland, you're still wearing the suit, aren't you?
I absolutely am. So that's why Proper can
do one, yeah. But I can imagine you've still got your duster coat over the top of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Classy.
And you haven't been home to sleep because you went straight from the restaurant at the top of the tower to...
Yeah, that's why I asked for a cup of coffee.
And
I can't believe I do mutter kind of like sort of sotto voice, but not really. All this money and you can't afford coffee.
Can you roll 2 dice, please?
This will go badly. That's right. I've rolled 2 7s.
Okay. So the lawyer kind of, you see his ears prick up. He turns around and he says, "Don't worry what my assistants say. We have coffee." And he kind of takes you upstairs, and it's got, again, one of those kind of very fancy switchback staircases, one of the open ones that you see in all of the American films, with all of the pictures up the stairwell.
Just like Dynasty.
But the pictures are all him, or if you imagine Michael Palin's early Python slick businessman, but again played by Doug Jones, but you can tell that they're different.
That's the best image ever.
And you get to the top of the stairs, and he opens the door to another larger office. And inside the office, it's like, the best thing I can describe is that if Austin Powers had to have a lawyer's office. So there are bean bags, and there are like the whole rotating oil lens lamps projecting, and there's 2 massive, great big oil lamps just either side of his desk, and his desk is like, he's got an inset.
He lives in the 1960s.
Yeah.
All of the chairs are those like egg shaped.
He's got a couple of those, but most of the chairs are bean bags.
And of course the obligatory go-go dancers in the corner.
Yeah, a couple of thought forms. Yeah, just dancing go-go, and then he kind of turns the music down a little bit. And he says,
"Oh no, it's typo negative. I'm enjoying it."
And now you remember that
Girlfriend's girlfriend, she looks like you.
And now you remember that Pete Steele is dead, and now you're sad.
I wasn't until you said that. I'm going to take a point of despair now.
Yeah. I'm just double checking. You actually were aware of that before this game, weren't you?
I was, but I was happily not cognizant of that fact while I was doing the singing.
Yeah.
Oh.
And now I just come crashing down. Just like whenever I remember that Robin Williams is dead.
Oh.
Yeah, that still hits hard, doesn't it? How long has that been?
And the thing is, he's the only kind of celebrity death that's really, really, really hit me. Yeah.
It's always bad when it comes crashing down and it hurts inside.
I know this is lyrics from something.
Okay.
And he kind of gestures for you to sit with a hand that's possibly got a few too many digits.
I sit on one of the beanbags and the corn starts popping inside. I'll just stand.
Yeah.
It's been a while since you've graced our office with your presence, Miss Hawk.
Well,
And what can the offices of Wap Capleton Spong do for you today?
Well, I'm guessing you were probably aware that I ended up in shadow, which is why my affairs seem to be in the circumstances that they're in. I have come back from shadow and being here with very little memory of what happened previously, and I'm hoping that you can uncover various information that's missing about myself and my family from back then, because I do remember that I have a sister, but that's as far as I know. What can you tell me? And yeah, who was Adrian Hawke before I went into shadow?
Ooh, a very pertinent question. Who are any of us at any time? There always seems to be a lens in between how we see ourselves and how the world sees us. And he's doing all of these kind of
Vogue.
Voguing is
You
brilliant.
missed Charlie Vogue.
No, I saw Charlie Vogue.
Oh, okay.
I love voguing.
Why I think he's actually a drag queen.
and what shadow takes from us is an element of that lens, and what we see at times is who we were in shadow, is who we truly are. And maybe the lie of the grey sun is no lie.
Well,
Or it could be the other way round.
I am aware, but I'm not sure whether it's something that you were privy to, that I decided to go into shadow with my name, when I know that is not normally what happens.
No, most
Do
unusual.
you know, was there anything noted or discussed with yourself as to why I would have done that?
I will have to check the records. And he kind of reaches his hand over, and then it stretches and stretches and stretches, and then it kind of flips open a filing cabinet, and then plucks a file out, and then brings it back bit by bit by bit. And he opens it up and he says, I have the details here where you and your sister engaged with a company of Wap Caplet and Spong to procure a replacement shopkeeper to take care of your business. There are details of the leasing, and he's kind of ticking these things off the paper. There are details of the terms. There are details of the insurance. There are many details. And it was to be until yourself or your sister returned from shadow. Unfortunately, we did not deal with the actualities of you leaving the actuality. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was about to say, did you know whether my sister actually went or not? Because that I don't know.
You both signed
Yeah,
at
we
the
know
same
Joseph
time.
did.
All of our stuff has been redacted.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
He's just said they both signed at the same time. It's got her signature.
Yeah.
The redaction hasn't affected his document.
No. Yeah. So no. The other thing is that I know I have a sister, but I don't remember her name. Do you have those details?
Do you remember? Remember my name.
Chalk hearts dancing on the playground wall. Yes, the name is right here. And he kind of hands it over, and it's signed Josephine R.Y.C. Hawk.
Raise your chameleon hawk.
I do recall one fact, and that the other young lady, I believe she was your younger sister, had great difficulty in deciding what to sign. I do recall her making some comment about not being appreciative of her name. So I believe in some way that if you, Mistress Hawk, specifically decided to keep your name before, during, and after Shadow, you may find that she would have taken the opportunity not only to change it when she went into Shadow, but to change it again once she has come out of Shadow.
I'm guessing you have had no contact with her.
The records have not been touched since they were signed. And he kind of picks the file up and then puts them back in, and then...
Was there anything
We've
else?
assumed that somebody else has redacted her name from everything. Maybe she's redacted her name from everything.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
We have it a lot with the university that when a person changes gender, they wish to, or their dead name to be removed from every record if we can, kind of thing.
Was there anything else that we dealt with, or that I may have dealt with you, dealt with through you, that wasn't just the leasing of the property? Was there anything else, like potential wills or other things that?
Yeah, because they've treated you quite, posh,
Yeah.
ooh.
Just slightly more than just.
Yeah, it's a bit benign work to be, ooh.
We do hold the title for the execution of both yours and your sister's last will and testament.
And I named it. How much am I going to get before your untimely shooting accident?
No. And then any other legal things that would be? Was there? Did I own anything else? Did I?
Safety deposit box.
Safety deposit, all that jazz. Because I just don't know, and I'm trying to find out.
Deposit boxes are unfortunately not one of the dealings that we make.
Do you know who I would have banked with?
I can certainly make some subtle inquiries.
Yeah, well, no.
The records here
it should show. Because if you're taking in rent from the...
Yes, because that's the account that we're trying to find. Was where the rent was going into, because I don't have that. No,
The records state that you paid our fees in the requisite means in the terms of leaves of emotion. Speaking of which, we will send an invoice to your shop for today's dealings. The details of the account will be forwarded with the invoice, and you can expect that within 24 hours.
Okay. We've got Matey's details at the shop, haven't we? Like contact details.
Yeah. Would it be possible to take a look at my last will and testament at the moment, or is that not available?
Last will and testaments are the purview of my brother, Adrian Spong, and he is temporarily indisposed.
So you're both called Adrian, but you have different surnames, but you're brothers.
Is that not how it works?
Okay.
And there's like a look of blank incomprehension on his face.
Adrian is the family name, right?
We're not family. We are brothers.
Doesn't necessarily mean they're tied by blood.
It's very true.
Another time then, but thank you very much for your help. It's been
Illuminating.
Illuminating.
Hmm?
Illuminating. Terrible name. Terrible name. Terrible name. And then this thing with all the spiders.
And then came the spiders. Dun, 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 dun. I'm very musical today.
You are, yeah. Thank you for your assistance today. No doubt that I will be in contact again at some point. For the time being, though, my property is staying in the hands of Mr. Ollivander because he's looked after it, and I have other things to do with at the moment. But I thank you for your service, and your payment will be made once it can be done.
Once I can access my bank accounts.
Pretty much.
Get all of my money.
Wonderful. And he kind of escorts you to the door of his office. You have another card. There's another one that we've seen before. The enveloping darkness.
Yay!
Yeah. So as we're on our way out, I'm like, well, this has been I think, as Stobot put it, illuminating. And I feel completely out of my depth. Who knew I was capable of such things? I didn't. How long have we been in?
It's probably got to about sort of 4 o'clock.
Time
For
to
you.
back maybe.
Yeah. We haven't slept for like 24 hours, so we are shattered now.
There's a Beano's just outside, but it's one of those ones like, you know, the where some branches of McDonald's they just redo the inside of the building and not the outside of the building. So this Beano's on the outside, so it's got the little brass plate Beano's coffee house, but inside it's, you know, like every other Beano's that you've been into, they are all identical. They are actually all the same shop, and it's the same 2 baristas.
Is it just that every door is like a portal that just leads to one Beano's?
Yep.
Excellent.
Cool.
I know your order wherever you go.
Where everybody knows your name. So yeah, Beano's, because although Wap Catlet said that they had coffee, he didn't actually offer me any.
He was a lawyer. What do you expect?
You would have paid through the nose for that coffee.
He has, you know, successfully, you know, upheld lawyer stereotypes everywhere. So I'm not displeased.
How put it this way? Put it this way. How black does Roland take his coffee?
Blacker than the lawyer's heart.
None more black.
It is not possible. Black as midnight, black as pitch, blacker than the foulest witch.
I know that. What's that from?
Legend.
Boy.
No, that's Phantasm.
No, it's not.
Tim Curry says boy an awful lot
In Legend.
Does he?
Yes.
Okay.
and in Peter Pan and the Pirates, where he's Captain Hook. Boy.
I'm pretty certain he says it in Home Alone as well.
With your stolen credit cards. I love Tim Curry.
He's still with us. He's just very poorly.
I know. So yeah, Beano's. The huge.
Can we go out the door that takes us to near the rose?
You can't use Beano's as a cheap teleport.
Mm.
We've got Beano's loyalty cards. Surely these loyalty points add up.
Yeah, for your 13 trillionth coffee, which I think Dave or Roland is probably only 2 steps away from.
Yeah.
Excellent. So unfortunately, we can't use it as a cheap water service to.
No.
So we're going to get it as an eyedropper opener until we get home and Kip.
If we did that, every Beano's would be really busy because it'd just be like a tube station.
Yeah, Beano's are not Oxford Circus.
Pretty much.
So you head back to the Rose, yep?
Yep.
It's nice having a base of operations.
So yeah, back to Rose. Anything new at the Rose?
Eliana is...
They're still in the bedroom.
No,
I was
no.
going
Haven't
to
left.
say, we arrive and they're closed up for the day and there's a sock hanging on the door.
Outside the front not just their room.
No, it's, the place is kind of back open again. You've got the early crowd. Handy Dave is there, and Eliana is there, and she is serving drinks, but she is not actually asking what people are wanting.
She just knows.
People are going up to the bar and she kind of looks at them and she kind of just nods and then pours a drink. So when the three of you come in, she kind of looks at you. Your Borno vision, Stobold, kind of pings that she's got some kind of active magical effect around her.
Mm.
And so she kind of gets the three things of sipping whiskey and a quadruple espresso for Roland, and then
She doesn't need magic abilities to know that, though.
no, but then she kind of pours a black tar rum and then puts an espresso shot and then a
I don't want an espresso shot because I want to go to bed.
and then a lighter fluid shot for Stobold. And then she kind of looks at Hawk and then goes, "Oh, that's new." And then she mixes the same drink that the guy in the Winchester.
Oh.
Whoa.
I met Vizsla and all I got was the lousy ability to know what you want to drink. Great.
We'll get it on a bumper sticker. Is Caliburn around?
Oh, she's
Recovering. She's a bit dehydrated, bless her.
it's the extra finger.
Oh.
Do you know what? I wasn't going to go there. I thought, I'll take the high road on this one. I'm so proud of you.
Keeping it smutty.
So you can kind of do the shocker with extra shock.
What?
Oh dear.
We'll explain it when you grow up a bit, Charlie.
She just needs to listen to some Steel Panther.
And she kind of looks at the three of you and says, "Oh crikey, it looks like you've been on the road for a bit."
Oh, I finally get it. Sorry, never mind. Carry on. Carry on.
Oh, bless.
When we watch this back, we'll see those clogs ticking. They'll be like,
I can see you blushing without looking at the monitor because there's this glow on the horizon.
direction of your house.
Oh, behold the Charlie signal.
But the thing is that when you kind of see people with the benediction sign, like all of the church artwork, you won't be able to see it any other way.
Oh,
And
why
what
would
does
you
it
have
tell
to say that?
What does it tell you about the old Scout salute?
Best.
Or
Can't remember
Matt
what-
Hardy version 1.
And let's not forget, of course, the Spocker.
Oh my god.
I think I just broke Kelly.
Are you sure it's your friend who brings the smut to this other game?
Guess what?
Dave's not involved.
Guess what? You love me and there's nothing you can do about it.
I cannot love you. There we go. Done.
Can you though?
And on that note, I think we're going to leave it for the evening.
Aww. Well, so book may have some money.
Summaries. Stubbled.
Don't think I was particularly joyful or sad.
Bitchin' Ploughman. What's not to be joyful about that?
Well, that's true. That is true. It's good to see Eliana back in kind of a normality, for want of a better word. So I suppose I could get joy for that, because she's my concern. But the majority of the thing has not really been about Starboard, really, has it? So that's fine.
Not been snowballed time this week. Okay.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
Joy for that and 1 acumen.
Okay.
Monsieur Roland.
I'm going with 1 despair because of the coffee, but also I really don't trust these lawyers one bit. He was very very friendly, but he didn't really tell us anything. And if he had like your bank details, he would have had to have your bank details on hand because you would have paid him. Money would have come into those accounts, and the fact that he didn't just give them to you, and the fact that he saw us so quickly for, like Charlie said, some kind of, it seemed like mundane sort of stuff.
Business, yeah.
But he's treated you like a VIP kind of client. I do not trust him.
Who am I?
And as well, like, if you were that VIP client, he'd know your bank. He'd know, only his best clients would.
Like, oh shit.
Yeah, exactly. And if not only he knew you, but his receptionist knew you that well.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't have said about not knowing.
No, I think he did the right thing.
And Hook. So yeah, sorry, Roland, 1 despair and 1 acumen.
I'm going to go with One Despair actually, because it's.
You
Like
thought it was going to
Roland
be a
said-
bigger lead than it was.
Yeah, and like Roland said, it's fishy and suspicious, and even I was like, oh yeah, they know me, and then next minute you're like, I can't really tell you anything. But yeah, I'm going to go with One Despair today.
Okay. Fantastic. Right. Thank you very much, folks.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Absolute
Thank
joy as always. See if I can turn this one off without flipping it around. No,
Does it stop recording?
no.